I'd like to thank you all for coming down to Mishti dance, celebrating the life and legacy of Sansaman, aka State of Bengal. We're actually named after one of his tracks, but I guess you guys should already know that. I'd like to introduce our first artist of the evening, spoken word poet Angela Ridu, whose debut poetry collection Honeybee is out now. Thank you.
Is this the right height? Hey, so I am Angela and I'm honoured to be here. It's my first gig, so I'm super happy and super excited. So I went to get my clothes tailored and the woman was like deeply insightful. She completely botched up my dress, so I'm not wearing that dress tonight. But she had these nuggets of wisdom and she said, just be naked in front of them. And I thought, you're my tailor, what the hell are you talking about? And she said, no, but what I mean by that is show yourself. And often in the past, I've been a very private person and I've had trouble with showing myself, my authentic self. So I'm going to try my very best to be naked in front of you and show my soul, and hopefully you will find beauty and poetry and music in the things I have to share, and hopefully some of them will resonate with you. So let me introduce myself first. So my name's Angela Ridu, also known as Poems from My Heart. Not poems from my heat, not poems from my hate, poems from my heart. So all of the experiences that I write about are true to myself. And I started writing poetry as a cathartic form of release, as most people write from a place of love or trauma, and I write from a place of both. So in the pandemic, I started sharing poetry and I published a poetry book called Honeybee, which I will be reading from. And something that I'd like to plug in quickly is I've got copies of the book somewhere, and 100% of the royalties of my book are donated to Tommy's charity, which is a baby loss awareness charity. I mentioned I write from trauma. It's the reason why I started sharing my poetry, to empower other people. So hopefully you'll have a flavour of that in a minute. And we have something really exciting that I'm excited to share with you. I'm making music with a wonderful person who's here today with us, called Osmani Soundz. So you will have a flavour of poetry and a flavour of music. So I'm hoping you're going to enjoy both. Now, can I just start off by asking a quick question? Who speaks another language other than English? Can you just stick your hands up? Okay, so we've got more than one language. Okay, good. Keep your hand up if you speak 3. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of, okay, great, okay, a little bit, okay, that's good. No, that's great, we're not too bad. People complain that Brits are not good at language, but we are, that's not bad. Okay, so my first poem is about my love of languages. I actually couldn't speak anything except Punjabi until I was 5, so I couldn't actually speak a word of English. And now I'm standing here, talking and talking and talking. But I saw this tree, and it was amazing because it was like a language tree, and it showed the origin of all the languages and where they came from. And I thought that was so beautiful. So I wrote this poem called A Tale of Two Tongues. I'm a chameleon with 2 tongues in my mouth, my mother tongue and the other tongue. One, the language of my blood, the other, of logic. I couldn't speak anything except Punjabi until I was 5. It was what I spoke, how I was safe, how I survived. Punjab comes from the Persian words Panj, meaning 5, and Ab, meaning water, to represent the 5 powerful rivers flowing through the lands. School expanded my world, throwing open new doors. Vowels and consonants came tumbling through. I went from 40 tidy letters sitting neatly on the line to 26 variations of letters dancing above, below, all over the line, and don't even get me started on silent letters. For 5-year-old me, it was a little bit confusing. The language of home and the language of school. For the first time in me, the chameleon awoke. I realised I had 2 identities. My mind, my heart, my tongue all disagreed with which I identified with the most, trying to wrestle to see who had more muscle, more power. But like a chameleon, I learned to camouflage and blend in. I quickly undressed out of one and slipped into the other, like water mixed in a bowl of milk, undetectable to your eye, but you see your tongue. Your tongue would taste the difference. See, aren't we all part of a giant tree that originated as one family? Its branches shed their roots of long ago and declared their independence. If you trace it back, all back, we are of one tongue, one home. I know how to live with multiple tongues in my mouth. Now, Punjabi है मेरी माँ बोली, हिंदी मैंने फिल्मी गानों देखकर सीखी, aprendí español para vivir en Barcelona, et français c'est la langue de mon amour, and English is the language of my home. I know how to live with multiple tongues in my mouth, realizing they're just different instruments that I choose to play in harmony as part of a giant band, all mine to love and command. That was the end of the poem. Thank you very much. That's my first poem. Now, I think I'm going to share one poem, which is the only poem that's going to be sad, I promise. It is about domestic violence and abuse, and unfortunately, these are taboo topics that people don't want to talk about, but my sort of poetry style is to rip the band-aid off and let's just talk about it, because we really should talk about a lot of these things. So there's a poem that I wrote called Honeybee, and it's the debut poetry collection, the title poem. And I think honeybees are really empowering because they can sting, they're fierce as hell. They make honey, and I think they're important to our biodiversity and our ecosystem, so they're really valuable. And it was really important because I showed my son, I have a son who's 3 years old, and he was playing in the water fountain because it was so hot, and there was this bee, and he said, "Mummy, the bee is dead." And I said, no, son, it's not dead. It's drowning, because I don't know if you know this, but honeybees cannot fly if their wings are wet. So I just said, let's just take it to the side, let it dry off and sunbathe a little bit, and it will be on its way and it will be fine. So that was something important that I had to teach my son, and I think it's important because we can't survive, we can't thrive if people try drowning our wings. So this is about self-love, it's about healing and empowering myself. So this is my story that I would like to share with you. And it's my most vulnerable poem, and my heart is going, so sorry if I make any mistakes. You thought you broke her, that your actions fractured her mind. Foolish man, you set her on the path of healing into a stronger version of herself, leaving you far behind. Purple. Purple is the colour of mysticism and dignity, but how did it appear all over my skin is truly a mystery. Spilt ink blotches painted over the canvas of me. This is dark art, of which I questioned, but what was my part? I didn't give you permission to stamp your power and authority all over the canvas of me. Did you see your father painting this way too? Or was it just an innate desire to paint over me in purple, black and blue? Eons passed, and the purple hue eventually faded, but I walked around half living, mostly jaded. You erased my joy, my dignity, my colour, my light, until I was left without any fight. My canvas falling to the floor, paint seeping out of me through my pores. I cried out in pain, "Mother Earth, what has become of me? Rid me of this pain and just set me free." "No," she said, "my daughter, you have suffered immensely, but there is so much beauty and joy that you have yet to see. Pick a colour. What do you wish to be?" Given the choice of a new colour palette, I chose golden yellow, the opposite of purple on the colour wheel. "It's decided then," she said, "I will give you renewed life and make you the honeybee." I picked up my paintbrush, reincarnated, this time to heal. I paint myself in luminous golden honey dripping in powdery pollen and sweet nectar, surrounded by sisterhood, a collaborative colony, promising of blooming and growth. Wings elevate me to flowers of all colours until you try drowning my wings again, long enough to make your art on me. your dark art. At least this time I will not hesitate. At least I will At least I will warn my sisters of your desperation and misery when I sting you to set myself free. You thought that you broke me. You thought that you fractured my mind. Foolish man, you set me on the path of healing into a stronger version of myself, leaving you far behind. The next poem I'm going to read is from my book. Now, has anyone had a birthday recently, by the way? No, has anyone had a birthday? I actually have, but has anyone here, are there any Taurians or Aries amongst us here? Yeah, okay, great. Oh, nice. Okay, so I've just had a 40th birthday recently, and it's been amazing because, you know, you kind of hear these stories about ageism, and this poem is about ageism and how we deal with the concept of aging. Because they sort of tell you 40s is old. I mean, if a man has silver hair, he's considered a silver fox, very sexy. Think George Clooney. If a woman does, it's like, yeah, you need to get to the salon. You know, you need to sort that out. You need to get yourself Botox. You need to do this. And there's so many standards that are thrown at us all the time. It's exhausting. I mean, I spent my 20s trying to educate myself and get a degree and start a career like most women. I spent my 30s trying to get pregnant, understand how to get pregnant, how to stay pregnant, and that's another conversation. And then now, in my 40s, I just want to have fun. I just want to enjoy it. And I actually climbed, well, the Peru Inca. Anyone been to Peru?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. It's amazing. So I did the Peru Inca Trail to Machu Picchu, and that was wonderful. 4 days, 4 nights. My legs were not hurting. Amazing. At 30, I did Snowdon, and I was dead for 4 days. I was in bed. My legs were killing me. So I just realized that ageism is a fallacy, really. And I was buying some dresses, the one that I took to the tailor. And actually, I saw these like brochures that were in the packet, my ASOS, I shouldn't have said the name, but anyways, I had these brochures that were in there, like, you know, £5 off wine and blah, 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 discount on this. And then there was this one that kind of threw me off, and it said, vaginal dryness is okay, you know? And I thought, what? You're trying to give me a complex about my vagina? No, you don't get to do that. Firstly, that's not an issue for me. And there was this little sachet of lube in my dress package, and I thought, why do people insist on doing this? They have my demographic information now they're trying to tell me my vagina is not good enough. Well, actually, I refuse. I refuse to accept that. So I wrote this poem about ageism. It's called Vintage. Her, the other woman, half your age, did she make you happy? You thought you plucked me at full bloom. You were sadly misinformed. You see, flowers need time to bloom. After your winter ended, I shed my dead skin and matured like a vintage wine, held perfectly still in barrels of French oak. Just waiting for the right time, these flavors that burst through in words would leave you staggering, a drunken mess. You didn't stick around to taste how smoothly I flow. These words that drip, drip, drip from these lips. I rid myself of any impurities long ago. You may call me vintage. I call it refined. Okay, so I wrote this one about divine femininity. It's called Water. It's a part of a larger piece that there will be other poems for about elements. And I wrote it about the elements. And I read it to my husband, and he said, are you talking about your vagina again? Or are you actually talking about divine femininity and the elements? And I said, aren't they the same thing? I mean, I promise I did write it about the elements, but you decide. Okay. So it's called Water. pour and measure, swim around in my pleasure, nourishing with every touch. I'm an ocean, I'm a stream, a mirror reflecting your dreams, washing away your fears, gentle on your lips, divine connection bliss, a beautiful love story, centuries old, a fountain that eternally gives, the hope inside you that lives, light on your skin, the tide that dances within, honest and transparent, but if it became apparent that you took me for soft, remember, I cut mountains with my flow. So pour and measure, swim around in my pleasure. I'm balance, I'm life force, I am woman. This one's from my book, and before I start talking about this, I do believe in coincidences, and I think that when you make a wish, the universe honestly listens, and I think if you vibrate at a certain level, there's certain things that just can't touch you, and I've learned how to raise my vibration and how to be more positive about things and how to invite positive things, positive people into my life. And there's been some really amazing coincidences. For example, at this Mishti dance event a few months ago, I was saying to the universe, please, I really need to hook up with a musician. Not hook up, but I need to creatively collaborate on music in terms of work. And this musician is here with us today because I just randomly bumped into somebody called Osmani Soundz, who will be helping and who has helped to collaborate and produce music that we're working on together. So the universe listened to me. So now you will get to hear a flavour of different types of work that I have been doing that I'm super excited to share with you. And I've never performed this live in front of anyone before. This is my first gig, so please be gentle with me and forgive any mistakes. So this poem is called My Mother's Hands, and the video that you will see is vintage footage. It was my mum's 60th birthday, and there's my daughter in the poem as well, in the video, as well. And I wrote the poem My Mother's Hands because I started thinking, when someone passes away, what is it that you appreciate the most about them? Which part of them do you really miss the most? And I think that for many people, it's their hands. You miss your nan's hands, your father, your mother. If you've lost someone, think about what is it that you miss. It's the touch, that touch. And there's a lot of things that I wanted to celebrate about my mother's hands. She did slap me a few times as well, but I didn't include that in the poem. That's okay, I forgive her. So this is my mother's hands. The fragrant garden that is my mother's hands, scented with mint, garlic and coriander. Hands that conjure magic, a delectable storm, opening and closing doorways to other worlds with her assortment of wands. A rainbow of spices and fragrances levitating from your body, as if rising from one of her singing, steaming pots. Open palms sticky with adda and anxieties, boxing away her troubles, shaping the dough. Hands that taught me how to apply a flower face mask, sometimes festively adorned with henna. Hands that could breathe the will into tiny shoots to bloom. Hands that became arthritic, spinning straw into gold. Hands held in protest against a world for shining a womb that gave birth to 4 daughters and no boys. I have seen you, I have watched you fight this world and rise. Hands that I still wish to feel against my cheek. These hands are the only paradise I need. My mother's hands. Oh, it's so weird seeing my mum. It's so weird, I'm so distracted by my mum. But I kind of feel like they're there with me, my daughter and my mum. I think women in general, I come from a big family of girls, and girls are not boys, so they're considered secondary citizens. And I just think that this element of sisterhood, this collaborative colony, is so important to me. And I wanted to quickly squeeze this in, actually, which is from my book, before I go back to the music. Women have been the first to lift me out of my pain, untangling the scribbles with their sorcery. Find the power of sisterhood, elevate each other into a place of safety and security, because honey isn't made alone. It takes a collaborative colony. So some of my collaborative sisters and friends are here today, and I'm so super grateful for that. Okay, so I'd like to move on to the next poem. Just give me a second. Okay, so the next one's called Ocean, and I wrote this about love. How many of you are in love, actually? Nobody. Oh my God, what a sad world we live in. You had to pause. Am I? Aren't I? Should I divorce him? I don't know. I kind of am, so today I kind of feel like it. So, love is a very complicated and beautiful thing. And I wrote this at a crossroad in my life when I had to make difficult decisions and choices that I've had to learn to live with. So this is called Ocean, and okay. Everything we do is a choice. Some stop to watch the allure of the ocean. Others jump right in. I close my eyes, listen to the melodies, inhale the salt to make my choices. Then I willingly drown. Is this ocean home? I got drunk on love from your lips. Didn't stop to question, is this hit of bliss a temporary affliction? Will this be my salvation, or lead down the road to damnation? Step into the water with me. Jili come. Everything we do is a choice. Some stop to watch the allure of the ocean. Others jump right in. I close my eyes, listen to the melodies. Thank you. This one's called Beautiful Chaos, because I think there is something to be said about chaos. There is order in the world, and I only understand that now because I understand the balance of chaos. So I probably shouldn't admit this in front of a crowd full of strangers, but I recently did something called ayahuasca. Has anyone heard that? Those of you that are laughing have. Okay, so I went from like half a weed cake just to tell my friends, yeah, I did it, I did it, I'm cool. In Amsterdam, in a country where it's completely legal, to saying, I need some therapy, it's not working, I need healing, that's not working, let's try ayahuasca. So I head off to Peru after the Inca Trail for my 40th birthday, and boom, oh my God, the healing that came from this wonderful spiritual legal experience, by the way, in Peru. I'm still a good girl, okay? It was just wonderful, and it made me realize that healing is incredibly important, but that we should also value and understand the obstacles that the universe brings in our way, such as chaos. And now I understand that chaos that I've experienced has helped me become the person I am today, to be able to stand in front of you and open my heart. So this one is called Beautiful Chaos, and I don't know if I know it by heart, but I will try my best. Okay. When you make a wish, the universe is always listening. It loyally starts to conspire, bringing together atoms and particles, helping your dreams transpire, carving out shooting stars, moving chess pieces, sending you teachers as avatars to help you open your heart. There are no coincidences. Let the universe in. Connection doesn't care about perfection or the laws of the land. The universe will pull your soul to where it belongs. Our peaks and troughs merge into one another, creating a drunken haze where I don't know where I end and you begin. Coincidental, transcendental, we didn't realize our true potential. I'm the butterfly that flapped its wings and stirred a tornado in your heart. I find beauty in chaos. I find beauty in chaos because even in destruction, we made art. Time is an infinite echo of memories. Time, an infinite echo of memories. Even the silences sing out your name. When you make a wish, the universe is always listening, always listening, always listening. I made a wish and it brought me you. So open your heart and let the universe in. Thank you. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. I have one last poem, and this is about my hometown, Wolverhampton. So I'm a Wolverhamptoner, and that's how they speak up north. But I have tried my really best to lose the accent. How am I doing? Yeah, thanks, yeah. Because, yeah, I'm alright, love. That's how they speak, and that is how I grew up. And I'm slightly ashamed of it, but I shouldn't be. But anyways, does anyone like Peaky Blinders here? Yeah, so that's where I come from. Wolverhampton, Walsall, Birmingham, up those ends. And I do love my hometown because every time I'm there, people are so friendly and time seems to slow down, and that's really wonderful. It's really wonderful because when I came to London I realised people really mean, and nobody said love and sugar and rose when you got the bus. You just got on the bus and you tapped in and tapped out and that was it. You know, no one had a conversation with you, and if you tried to ask the bus driver where the stop was, they'd just be like grunt. So it was a bit of a shock, but I do love London. I love it. I've been here for many years now, so this is my home. But in the pandemic, I really missed my actual home, where my parents are, where I feel like a child again, where I feel safe. And I wanted to do this poem especially and highlight Save the Brick Lane campaign, which I know that there's been a lot of promotion around, because we need to celebrate these opportunities of community and celebrate the art, the culture, the history that goes behind that. So I think that it's a celebration of all of our hometowns, especially for those of us living within the diaspora. So this is my last poem called Hometown. And just before I start, it's a collaboration with Osmani Soundz. I grew up in a very poor home. My father has a degree in economics, but when he came over, as many people did as immigrants, they didn't have the opportunity to work in office jobs. They were sort of out of the question. So he had to work in a factory. And his very first job was, he's ashamed of it, but I'm so proud of him, mending socks for £1 an hour. That's what he did with his economics degree that he couldn't use. My mother should have done so many things for different reasons. She didn't, but she was a seamstress, and I'm super proud of her because all of my clothes had like stretchy waistbands, so I could put weight on, I could lose it. My mum was a seamstress, that's cool. So it was wonderful because I'd listen to her in the early hours of the morning at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I'd hear the sound of the sewing machine, and that's a comforting sound for me. And I wanted to pay homage to all of our mothers, especially our mothers, who work incredibly hard. So you will hear in this song the sound of the scissors, the sewing machine, and lots of other sounds. So it's very immersive, and I'm really proud of this particular one. So I've saved best for last for you, and I'm hoping I will do it justice. By the way, if you want to dance and join in at the end, dance. This poem's for the brothers sewing machine, singing away in the corner of the living room. Black bin liners deliveries by factory owners paying a tuppence for spinning straw into gold. A conveyor belt of fabrics arriving, departing, disappearing in the middle of the night. Discarded threads clinging on for dear life. This poem is for the Dudley Road shops, the bazaar selling everything from atta and achars, the back door opening while the guy takes out the trash, Indian music blasting briefly. This poem is for the Indian fabric shops, the rows upon rows of fabric shops reminding you you mustn't wear a dress to the next social gathering twice. For the shopkeeper, measuring yards and yards of fabric. For the mother, economizing, trying to measure up 4 outfits for daughters, but bargaining for the price of 3. This poem is for the barber shops we'd visit with our dad until we stopped going when we realized we were getting our hair cut like boys. This poem is for the women entrepreneurs operating from their garages to make ends meet, where we'd strip, whip, and come out as silky as babies' bottoms. This poem is for the aunties devotedly volunteering their seva at the langar, flipping roti on the hot tawa and serving garam masala chai while exchanging matrimonial biodatas and sharing heartaches of years gone by. This poem is for the mates who helped us escape a swig of something forbidden and fiery behind the dance studio. This poem is for the Diwali fireworks. Our community gathered together in the Gurdwara car park on that one night where I'd catch the eye of the boy I'd always liked, pretending I was looking at them shooting fireworks in the sky. This poem is for those memories. my hometown. Thank you. I will have copies of my book if anyone is interested. 100% of the royalties go to Tommy's charity, so if you're interested in a signed copy, let me know.
Big up Angela Ridu. Our next artist is